We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
Looks like the rain has gone.
Welcome back to the Mankind Podcast. How does your body respond when a person that you love walks into the room? How deeply do you feel it? This is one of the kinds of questions we're going to be asking today. How do we give ourselves what we need? Deep down in one of the earliest parts of our development, there's a system called the attachment system. What is that? How does it work? What are different styles of attachment? What does a piece of chocolate have to do with the earliest months of my life? These are the kinds of things we'll be exploring today on the podcast as I speak with Erin Brandt, who's one of my go-to people for learning more about attunement, co-regulation, attachment, and neural calming my body, learning more about how to parent myself in a healthy way. I hope you'll stick around and listen to the episode. This is a fun conversation. Enjoy. Hey everybody, it's Boysen Hodgson. Welcome back to the Mankind Podcast, where we are breaking the molds and we're helping men understand that there's more than one way to be a man. And today I am here with a friend of mine, somebody who continues to teach me every time I speak with her, Erin Brandt. Say hi, Erin.
Hi, Boysen. That was pretty sweet. Thank you.
It's just the truth, just the truth. So Erin Brandt is a men's coach, helping men heal relationships with women and helping men heal relationships with themselves and heal relationship. She's been a private coach for 12 years. She leads a blend of attachment work and nervous system co-regulation. We're going to have to learn what that is. And teaches men and women to have compassion for and appreciate differences. So before this, Erin was an injury evaluation and treatment therapist for 22 years. She was a personal trainer and a movement analyst for 9 years and a partner dance instructor for 25 years. She has a master's in human movement science. She condensed about 9 years of learning about attachment theory and nervous system regulation into 3, assisted Diane Poole Heller, and now leads her own trainings in person and online at calmandengaged.com. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back. But first, Erin, check in. How are you?
Before I do anything recorded or in front of people, I always get a little jittery or nervous. So I can hear that in my voice being higher than normal. And I just realized, I think that's just my body amping up energy so that I can project, so that I have enough energy to make sure that hopefully that you feel it on the other side. It's not just a regular conversation. It is something important that I'm trying to convey. So that's how I am.
Claro. Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm. How are you?
That's funny. We could just go down the road. I'm doing well. I have moved a whole lot of stuff today. I've moved a whole lot of parts today, and I've been looking forward to this conversation. So I'm glad that we're in it. So since you and I have known each other, one of the things that you and I have connected on, and you came, you cold called me basically, or cold emailed me a number of years ago after being connected to some other men in MKP men's groups and other men's groups. And you were traveling around the whole country and meeting with men's groups. And you came and visited my men's group and led us through 2 hours or 2 hours plus of just really deeply engaged work. And one of the pieces that you touch on, even in that short of amount of time, is attachment. Mm-hmm. I am fascinated by attachment theory and attachment styles and dysregulated attachment and failure to all of these things. So what is most, like, start from the beginning. Why is it important to talk about attachment? Nice.
That's absolutely the most important place to start, because so everybody knows that. The attachment system is the most important system in our bodies, in our psyches, everything. If you think about it, fight or flight, which is a casual way of one of the parts of the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system, fight or flight, is the primary system designed for our survival.
Yes.
It's the most core thing. It says there's a lion coming, fucking run. Okay? Nothing else is more important. And yet, and we have to pause here because we forgot to mention that in this episode, we are going to
lions and fucking tigers and bears. Yes.
We're going to talk about trauma. So listeners, as you're listening, please be aware of that. Take care of yourselves as necessary in case you want to be gentle with yourself, because that's where we're starting.
There we go.
All right. So fight or flight. So the lions come. This is the autonomic nervous system is the most important system designed for our survival. And the attachment system is stronger than that. When a parent hits a child, the child will go back to those parents for comfort. If it were only following its autonomic nervous system, it would say, big being who's scary and hurting me, I should run the other way. But no child does that. They go back to the parent for comfort. That's insane. It's absolutely insane, logically. And it tells you how strong the attachment system is, that it overpowers our primary system for survival. That's how strong it is. So that's why we're talking about it.
There you go. Yes.
So
autonomic nervous system. So go look at Dan Siegel, the fist model, or, our friend, I think your friend and mine, Jason Gaddis, talks about front seat, back seat, who's driving the bus up front. We're talking about all that back seat stuff, autonomic nerves.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So what are some signs of secure attachment in adults in relationships? So what's a functional definition of attachment? What's healthy attachment look like?
Yeah. And I figured we'd start here. This is a great place to start because we want to know, why do we care about this thing? Like, it's super important. It's going to take you over when you're not conscious, no matter what you do. This is the system that will dominate when you're not paying attention and even when you're paying attention. So it's got you. We better learn it. And first so what it looks like if you're in a relationship, we'll start there. So signs of secure attachment in relationship is that you might say this, you might boil you might be able to bottom line your relationship and sort of speak the most core thing by saying, when I'm in need, I'm confident that my partner will pull me in and hold me close for as long as I need to be there. And on the flip side, when I need space, my partner will give me space for as long as I need without faulting me for it. So those are the two. And behaviorally, we care for each other during transitions. So transitions are if you step from your left foot to your right foot, you're in transition. Okay. If you take a running step, then you're actually off the ground during that transition. Even if you're only shifting from foot to foot, you're in an insecure place. It's not the most balanced place. And in that not most balanced place, some people get anxious because of their attachment wound. They get anxious when they're when someone is going away from them. So they need reassurance then. And some people get anxious when someone is coming towards them. When your partner who you love is coming towards you and you feel anxiety and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I feel anxious when my partner's coming towards me. What is that about? Lots of people understand, oh, I feel anxious when my partner goes away. Well, the other one doesn't get talked about as much, but it's just as valid. And so it's during these times of transitions, when you go to work in the morning, when you come back, when you leave to go on vacation and you come back, when one person is working in the room and the other person simply walks through the room. When your life partner walks through the room that you're in, your entire nervous system is paying attention to them. It notices them. So what happens? Do you ignore them? Do you greet them? Do you look up at them in hopes that they'll make eye contact with you? Do you avoid their gaze because you just want to get through the room? Your nervous system is paying attention. And so in securely attached couples, they will treat those transitions with care. They will give them extra care because they know, or they feel, or they sense, if they're not, if they haven't learned about it, they'll know that those are the tricky stages. So they will, before you go to work in the morning, you'll hug, say something sweet. When you come home, first thing you do is you hug and you have this sweet moment. Things like that. Before you go away on a business trip, the night before you might have date night, right? You take extra care during the transitions.
Yeah, all nice. Right. And we're so this is a kind of adults in relationship, functional definition, and we're looking at transitions and how we respond to transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you're not, sorry,
nice. No, I'm really with you. Keep going.
Okay. So if you're not in a relationship, and some signs that you have secure attachment on your own, super basic things are, and this is sort of the markers for secure attachment, is food, touch, and movement. And we should add sleep. So technically it's food, touch, and movement, and then add sleep. So are you good with your food? Do you feed yourself? Do you get enough touch? Do you get enough movement? Do you get enough sleep? Do you get regular sleep? Are those like understood? Of course I need to have those things. Is it easy for you to give yourself those things? Our self-esteem is generally formed by our mom's level of self-esteem. If our mom saw herself as worthy enough to give herself food, touch, movement, and sleep, then we will automatically, because we were an extension of mom way back when this stuff got formed, we will naturally think that we are worthy of food, touch, movement, and sleep. And of course, if we don't have that, well, then we work on it. But these are good basic markers to know, those are like the most basic markers. And then there's a bunch of other stuff, but
there's kind of a question that comes up in me. So what if I'm one of those individuals who notices that I don't have a super easy time providing myself food, touch, movement, and sleep?
Mm-hmm.
What questions might I start asking? Asking for a friend, of course.
Aren't we always?
Yes.
So we can do this short. I wouldn't even go to questions. I would just go to solutions. If we find ourselves doing that, then imagine that you're still 3 and that you're still 5 and that you're still 6. And you needed a parent to lovingly guide you into those things, to lovingly provide food, to help you transition into bedtime. Bedtime is always scary, can always be a scary thing for young ones because we're losing control. We're losing the conscious world. Sleep is taking us over. It's a scary time. And so that's why we create bedtime rituals so that it's a safer, ritualistic, oh, this is what we do. It feels good. It feels warm. It feels safe. And so even if your parents did the basics well, they might not have given you these 3 things: attuned, responsive, consistent care.
Attuned, responsive, consistent care.
Yeah. So attuned means caring attention. I love that because it's not just that they're attentive, it's that they're attentive with care. And they're consistently responsive. So if they did the food, movement and sleep, maybe not so much touch, if they did those things, that's not enough. They have to have given us the attuned, responsive, consistent care.
Right.
And if they didn't, then to your question, we as adults are now sacredly responsible for providing that for our own inner little children who still coexist inside us, especially when our parents didn't meet our needs in one of Wilhelm Reich's 5 developmental stages.
Teaser for part 2.
So when our parents didn't meet our needs in many of those stages, then that child, that age in us is encapsulated and it's kind of frozen in time. And when there's a current situation in our adult life, that younger child, it's like that operating system, the old operating system, gets automatically triggered. This is what being triggered means, is that the old operating system gets triggered and tries to solve the problem in current day. But it's like, how many operating systems ago? It's decades ago, right? It's not going to work. So, but what does work is if we let that little child know that, hey, we've got this. We know how to do this. We know how to set an alarm to get into bed. We know, if it's scary, we can call a friend while we can watch some TV while we floss. We can call a friend while we're, tidying up around the house. We can make it so that we're not alone. We can leave, a nightlight on. We can create a bedtime ritual so that it's not so scary. And that was just about bedtime. But when we gently, firmly guide ourselves, for instance, to bed, but gently and lovingly do it the way a loving parent would, that's the way we should handle things. When we're like, oh, I'm not feeding myself. Okay, well, what are the structures we need? I personally need to have protein pre-cooked available in the fridge at all times, because I will work and work and work and forget to eat and definitely forget to prep and cooking by that time. I'm like, are you kidding me? No. So I need to have readily available meat for me that I can warm up. So I know I need to have protein. It needs to be warm for me to feel really nourished and cared for. And it needs to be readily available. So I pre-cook my stuff, put it in dishes, put it in the freezer, take one out the night before, and then heat it up when I'm ready to eat. And then oh yeah, I'm feeding myself. Look, little Erin, I'm caring for you so well so that you can go on and do what you want to do in your day. I've got you. And that's the message that we want to give to our little one. Look, we've got this. You, 8-year-old Erin, don't have to come online and try and adult through this because adult Erin actually has it. Look, let me show you over and over and over again.
And I learn from you every time I speak to you, right? So this idea of attunement as a part of that, right? It's not just about the attention. It's about how attuned the attention is.
Mm-hmm. It's about how caring the attention is.
And caring the attention is, right? So with my own type of attachment that I got, right? I will stuff into my face without actually a caring level of attunement. Right? Like that's how I've figured out that I can do that. And like, I need to do that in order to keep functioning. But my work has been to give myself the level of care and consistency and slowing down so that I'm actually feeling into that. I wonder if that resonates for any other of our listeners out there in the world.
Probably not. You're probably the only one.
I'm the only one. Yeah, right.
Certainly not true for me.
Yes, not true for you. So you've keep going, please.
Well, just specifically about food, because you brought it up and because it is true for me. It's awesome when I tell myself, yes, little Erin, you can have that chocolate. You can absolutely have it. We're going to have it in 30 minutes, or we're going to have it in 15 minutes. Right now, we're going to stroke your chest. We're going to do the 6 hacks, to soothe your nervous system that I know. I'm going to give you some loving touch. I'm going to be grandma and cup my hand on your cheek so that you feel that she and I are right here with you. And damned if that chocolate desire doesn't go away in like 30 seconds. No joke.
This is
I've already given myself permission to have the chocolate, right? Which is important. You just delay it and then you don't need it because you're giving yourself what you actually do need, which is the attunement. Sorry, go ahead. I got excited. I cut you off.
We're in a conversation about self-parenting now. So we started by talking about kind of what does healthy attachment look like in relationship and transition times, and our nervous systems are responding. And now we've moved into this realm of how do we self-parent, which you just like brought up the idea of delay. So when you talked about delaying eating a piece of chocolate, I did not have a Reese's peanut butter cup 5 minutes before we got onto this phone that I almost completely unconsciously grabbed out of the pantry as I was walking through the kitchen to get myself a glass of water, right? But the self-parenting piece is I know that there's a little boy in me who's going to throw a fucking temper tantrum. So give him a piece of chocolate so he'll be quiet. And go back upstairs, right? And I can say that with like some level of self-reflection is like, it's okay. But again, I don't suppose there's any other listeners out there who do that kind of behavior.
Wait, so you said you didn't eat the chocolate?
Oh, I sure did.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you didn't. Oh, okay, good.
But I went down to the kitchen just to get water, right?
And sometimes sometimes we need to get through the moment, right? Yeah. It's just when those moments become 10 years and we're 30 pounds overweight, what are we going to do? It's the moments that count. And so finding out, like for me, when I went through my chocolate thing, I had to be like, okay, what am I really needing? Yeah. I need a moment when all is right with the world, right? What I was saying is I need a moment of secure attachment.
Nice.
I need a moment where everything is right with the world, where I'm okay and everything's right with the world. And if it's not, it's going to be okay. and the chocolate melting on my tongue, stimulating those sweet parts, remembering that my grandma was the one who gave it to me and she was my secure attachment figure. All that stuff is going through my memory. And so when I put my hand on my cheek the way she did, the way I remember her voice saying like, oh, you sweet little you know, and like, oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're so strong. Oh, you're so, you know, oh, you're so pretty, right? And she would cup my cheek like that and look down at me and she'd be like, I'm so lucky to be with you. I'm so amazed about you. Right. And this just felt normal to me back then. And when I do that now, I don't need the chocolate because I'm getting what I need from my grandma and from my grandma's spirit. And I'm making it alive right now.
If you're enjoying the Mankind podcast, how about taking another step? This one takes some courage. And you've got it. Check out the Men's Work Introduction. It's 3 sessions over 3 weeks. New sessions start every month. And we even have a cohort tailored to LGBTQ men, which you can learn more about at bit.ly/menswork2.
If we give ourselves the deepest level of what we can possibly access, that's ideal. And in the moment, do I still eat chocolate? Yep. Had a shitty traumatic year. Crawled inside a piece of chocolate cake, even with therapy, even with a ton of support. And now I get to work it off. We do what we can do.
We do what we can do. Yes. Mm-hmm. I was reminded by one of the Twitter dads that I follow today that technically if you don't cut the chocolate cake, it's still only one piece. So there you go. That's my special advice for us all. So what does secure attachment provide to a child, and then in the parentheses, the adult who is parenting their inner child? What does secure attachment provide?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna add something else in there too, because let's talk about how it was formed. So attachments formed, or when it's formed, it's formed from birth until 18 months. They can predict with 85% accuracy what the child's attachment style will be by testing the parent's attachment style. When the mom, I think it goes from like 70% accurate to 85% accurate at the beginning of the pregnancy versus at the end of the pregnancy.
Wow.
It's really learned from the parents. So, but it's not learned, it's not learned cognitively at all. Attachment is precognitive, it's pre-psychological, and it's pre-verbal. Mm-hmm. It's learned as a system at the same time that your nervous system is developing, is maturing, let's say, because your nervous system is also developing in the uterus. But the attachment system is developing as the nervous system is maturing, and they're linked. So it's in that first 18 months and the infant and mom had no separation. So baby looks at mom. Baby is really not aware that mom is a separate being.
Pre-psychological. Yes.
Pre-psychological. Right. So mom, or let's say primary parent, if the child is going to be adopted or something. But mom, primary parent, looks at the baby and is just in awe. Just absolutely in awe. Like, oh my God, there's this miracle of a being. There's this tiny, dependent being. And it's scary and it's all of the emotions, right? And but we're in awe. Mm-hmm. And we're tearing up and we're super vulnerable, and mom's nervous system is way ramped up if she's just given, especially if she's just given vaginal birth, she's way amped up, super sensitive to be in attunement with that infant. Mm-hmm. So mom's looking at baby. Mom is thinking, oh my gosh, I am so lucky to be tasked with the obligation of caring for you. Holy cow, I am so lucky. And baby thinks, quote unquote, mom loves me, all's right with the world. Mm. When mom is in awe of me, when primary parent is in awe of me, right? When primary parent is this open and this in wonder and this like, I'm so lucky, then because mom represents the world, all's right with the world. The world is a safe place. Mom loves me, all's right with the world is a safe place.
That attuned, smiling face.
In awe, very specifically.
In awe.
And when mom loves me that much, when like I am her world, I am my primary parent's world, right? And they're going to be attuned and responsive and consistent because they're happy to have the responsibility of caring for me. So much stuff, basic stuff is handled, and I can now take risks and go learn so much more. So much more. If I'm not worried about safety at home, if I'm not worried about where my food is going to come from, if I'm not worried if one of my parents is going to come home drunk, I can learn to tie my shoes. I can focus on my math homework. I can learn how subtle human interactions happen between facial expressions when my mom is talking to an elderly person on the street, or when my mom is picking up a little bit of unsafety and she walks faster down the street. I can pick up on all that stuff because I'm not having to avoid interaction with my primary parent because they're being inappropriate and not loving.
Yes, so they represent base safety rather than unsafety threat, something that I have to react to rather than something that gives me permission to be.
Exactly.
Fully. Beautiful. So I'm watching our time. So where do you want to go next from where we are now? We have another 10 minutes in our first section.
Then I want to go a little faster, but I need to give you the basic structure of attachment. So
yes,
imagine an umbrella. This umbrella is the world of attachment. Okay. Under this umbrella, one on the left, one on the right, you have mini umbrellas. One umbrella is called secure attachment. The other umbrella is called insecure attachment. And so under secure attachment, like all is good, right? We've talked about that. That's as much detail as we're going to give for right now. Under insecure attachment, we have two options. We have avoidant, and this is just a simplified version. We have avoidant and we have anxious. Okay. Avoidant, we'll talk about anxious first. Anxious this is the way it would sound as an adult. I want to be closer than my partner wants me to be. So in terms of parents, how it was formed is that parents gave you the good love. They gave you the secure attachment love, but they gave it inconsistently. Remember, we said that the attunement has to be consistent and responsive. So for an anxious child, it was given inconsistently. But they know what that good love tastes like, and it is sweet. It's like a little bite of chocolate. I mean, heaven. It's just, that was supposed to be a little joke. Thanks. So it's a little bite of heaven. They always want it back. They never know when it's going to go away because the parents were not consistently like that. Maybe they got distracted by their own wounds and processing. Maybe they got distracted by a sick sibling. Maybe they got distracted by financial concerns or their own health concerns. But the responsiveness, the attunement was inconsistent. So, of course, when things are going well in an adult relationship, the anxious person will still be anxious because they have been conditioned to understand that care will stop at some point.
It's gonna
and
go
so they
away.
are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yes, it's going to go away. It's just a matter of when. Even when things are going well, they can't even have peace. It's fucking torture. And when it's and they'll often say, like, you're not loving me the right way. If you just did it this way, if you just did it this way and this way and this way and this way and this, and it's exhausting for their partner. And when the anxious person is anxious, when they're angry at their partner, because not only am I losing the love that I need right now, you, as my primary committed partner, now represent the only way for me to get love and the only way for me to get what my parents never gave me. So no pressure,
Right.
but you're the only way that I ever have a chance to get all my biggest, deepest love needs met, and you're doing it wrong. So no pressure.
No pressure at all.
Yeah. The avoidant is never, ever got the good love. They never even got a taste of heaven. Their parents were consistent. They were consistently neglectful of their emotional needs. And so close little bits of wonderful heaven, of connection like that, feels uncomfortable to this type. And they're like, maybe they're in a personal growth class, or maybe they're listening to this and they're like, uh-oh, I better not say anything, because all that good love that she's talking about with the eye contact and the breathing together and the bodies close together, it's actually uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good to me. You know, the way to heal from attachment is to co-regulate physiologically. We call that, in the personal growth world, we call it just connect.
Right.
What we mean by connect is physiologically co-regulate. Eye contact, breathing, bodies next to each other. Let your nervous systems relax together. Let them calm down together. Let them be engaged together and responsive together. And someone who has an avoidance style, that will feel really uncomfortable in the beginning. And so then they say, I better not bring that up. That doesn't sound good. I must be broken, or I must be a failed human being in some way. And they don't know that that's not true because they haven't brought it up. And the response to that is just, no, you're okay. You're, just as much broken as everybody else is. And there's ways to fix it. It just requires going a little slower. It means they titrate. It means they take one sip of heaven, and then they take some space. And then they take one sip of heaven, and then they take some space. And then they take one sip of heaven, and then they say, I'm going to swirl this good quality contact care in my around in my taste buds just a little bit longer, 1% more. I'm going to enjoy it 1% more. And then I'm going to take some space. And they do that. And maybe they go 1% more next time. So it's just a slow getting used to sticking your toes in how good connection does actually feel.
Beautiful.
So those are the two main types.
Yes.
There's also disorganized attachment. Disorganized attachment is the lack of an attachment style. It means that when I do something for my partner, like cook them dinner, sometimes they love it and sometimes they yell at me for it. And what the flying fuck, they're insane. It's just disorganized attachment is sometimes anxious and sometimes avoidant, usually flipping quickly between the two on steroids. So with lots of intensity. And it doesn't have to be lots of intensity, but when it does flip quickly between the two with a lot of intensity, then you have an idea, oh, maybe I have some disorganized attachment. And that super quickly gets formed. Again, so intense thing I'm about to say. So parents hit the kids go to the parent for love. The kid's like, oh, I should go closer. No, I don't want to go closer. It's this push pull that's so intense, and it creates this block, this lock, this big X, like an impossible situation of pushing and pulling in the person's system. And that's how they experience love. That's what love is to them. And it's an intense experience for them and for everyone around them. So, and there's absolutely healing for that too. So now maybe we should talk about some healing.
Yes, please. Don't leave us here.
Cool. So, ways to improve secure attachment. So I'm just going to get right to the quick. So the most efficient way to heal your secure attachment is to find an attachment therapist and commit for 3 to 5 years. Go every week. Get the loving gaze, adoring eye contact from them. Learn to breathe with them. Learn to regulate when you feel like, when the anxious person feels like, oh, yes, but do they really mean it? Do they really mean it? Do they really like me? Do they really? Then the therapist gets to go, yep, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And still, and again, yes, I do. And when the avoidant one is like, I don't really buy that. I don't buy that they really care for me. Then the therapist can go, okay, well, you get to take your time. And just every once in a while, I'll remind you to notice that I'm still here caring for you. And again, and again. And take as much time as you need. I'm right here. So that's going to be the most efficient way to do it. And you'll need to work on your own with yourself. Because what we're doing is we're reparenting ourselves.
Right.
And so on your own, oh my God, there's so many. So work on providing. So be reliable for your inner child. Parent yourself lovingly and firmly around food, touch, movement, and sleep.
Parent yourself. Parent yourself lovingly and firmly around food, touch, movement, and sleep.
Touch, movement, and sleep.
Got it.
Providing those things for yourself consistently. So touch yourself, exercise, get hugs. If you can't get hugs, go get massage. Go to cuddleparty.com and go to cuddle parties. Now, as long as you're feeling comfortable COVID-wise and so forth. There's a recording that I have called The 6 Hacks. If you go to calmandengage.com /
look underneath the episode in the show notes for a link to that. Yes.
Awesome. The numeral 6 - hacks. And it's free. It's 60 minutes. It teaches you 6 ways to calm your nervous system. These will work no matter who you are. They are nervous system hacks. You do these physical things and they work. It's fucking awesome. Like, you don't have to be in the right headspace to do them. You just do them and they work. It's awesome. Elongate the good moments. So savor the good moments. When things are going well, notice it and say, yeah, this is my new normal. This is what this feels like. Hey, little Erin, who's 5 years old, who didn't get to have this. This is what cuddling up and, wrapping a blanket around yourself and twisting it really tight so you feel pressure, so you feel held from behind. This is what this feels like. Let your inner child know, see how well I'm doing? let them rest in having confidence in you because you are doing such a good job in parenting them. This is your new baseline. This is your new normal. This is good. All right. And in couples, I'll try and blow through these. So
we're okay. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, brief.
Right. Okay. So pay more attention to transitions. Stan Tatkin, who's an amazing therapist and teacher about attachment, and we'll put links. We can put links for people in for books.
Absolutely. Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely.
So Stan Tatkin teaches the thing called a welcome home hug. And basically, if you imagine that like somebody's died and you just need to be held, right? And the person is bigger and stronger than you, right? The way I describe your secure attachment figure, whether or not they're real, I just diverged. So I'll make this mini point. Create a secure attachment figure for yourself. Make up who it is. Compile other beings in your imagination and choose bits and pieces of characters, superheroes, pets, first grade teachers, a person you met once. Have them be bigger, stronger, wiser, and kind, so that you always have someone bigger, stronger, wiser, and kind to go to in your own imagination. Maybe you imagine yourself as your own grandparent, yourself in the future, so that you know what you need. So so now we'll go back to the hug. When,
welcome home hug.
If someone were holding you and comforting you after someone died, you might tuck your nose and your face into the crook of their neck and kind of like nuzzle, like bury your face in their neck. You'd be smelling them. It's a comforting like grandma or grandpa smell. And they hold you. They're stronger than you. You can relax into them. Do this hug with each other when somebody gets home from work. Take longer than 20 seconds, okay? And tuck your necks into one another. If one person is super short, get a footstool, leave it by the front door. Stand up on the stool, stand on a step in your house if you have one. And hold each other, tuck your noses into one another's necks, and just wait until your bodies relax into each other. This is called physiological co-regulation. It's like a reset button. Let's plug back into one another. And do that during transition times. Do it a lot. How long does it take? 20 seconds? If you don't have time for that, you're doing it wrong. Whatever it is, if you don't have time for 20 seconds of that, like, it should be rare. It should be rare that you don't have 20 seconds to totally reset your entire nervous system.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. When you're totally stressed with each other, focus on creature comforts. Get warm, get cozy, stop talking, have some cuddles, take a bath, eat some good warm food together. Stop trying to process, just have creature comforts. Give your partner a steady diet of appreciation. Be safe for them to come home to. Have them know that when they're around you, they're going to hear and experience good things about themselves. They're going to come alive when they're around you. Give them a steady diet of appreciation. Everybody thrives in that. Read The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, especially 5 Love Languages for Men, because it's funny and short and action-oriented. Read that. Find out how your partner needs to receive love. Give it to them in those ways. And lastly, work on healing the resentments that keep you from being in awe of your partner. Your partner at some point inspired you. You felt in awe of them. You were like, oh, I just want to be with them. Oh, they're amazing. I want to listen to them talk. Oh, they're just, they like wake me up. They perk me up. They inspire me. What are the needs that you have that haven't been met, that cause you to feel resentment, that prevent you from being inspired, being in awe of your partner? Because we all deserve to feel that awe. It's an amazing feeling. It's like it's being in love. Mm-hmm. And all of us deserve to have someone who is in awe of us. And if you don't have that feeling, it doesn't mean chuck it. It means go get it. Go find it. Find out what's in the way. So become a safe person for your partner to come home to and create that home with them. The home meaning the two of you, the unit.
Connection.
You're creating a secure, functioning relationship. Okay.
That, my friends and listeners, is Erin Brandt. So don't worry, you can listen to this again to pick up more of the nuance that was underneath what you just heard. You can check the show notes that'll be down below to get highlights of these things that we've been walking through on attachment. Yeah, every time I'm with you, I learn something new, and there's so many places where I go back and say, oh yeah, that's what's going on with me, or oh yeah, that's what I witness, or, and I invite listeners out there, right? So I'm a parent, I'm married, like all those things. Investigate some of those relationships that you have, and think about what you've done well. Let's go there first, right? So let's find what you've done well and appreciate yourself.
Yes.
Because there have been a number of times here where, as Erin, you were speaking, I was just thinking about, oh my goodness, like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember that time. Oh yeah, I remember that, right? That feeling of awe, that feeling of connection, that feeling of co-regulation. So finding those times and appreciating yourself and knowing that you're perfect right now, and there's always something that you can do to be even more perfect.
If you recognize the good that is now, it's much easier to build on it. It's hard to find to feel motivation to improve when you're just looking at what's shitty now. And the truth is that currently things are shitty. Some things are shitty and some things are good. So focus on what's good, because it'll give you energy to go create what's like something better.
There you go. Right. Instead of punishing yourself for the things that you're not doing so super well right now, because that's not going to get you more of what you want. It's going to get you the opposite of more of what you want. So, and are you
hearing part of the 5 personality patterns?
Yeah,
the
maybe
5 psychological stages.
So what are we going to talk about the next time we get together, Erin?
Well, I think what you want to talk about the next time, which I am very happy to talk about. So attachment, like the most primary ways that attachment goes askew, is avoidant and anxious. Yeah. But as we age, it gets a little more complex than that. And so the first level of complexity is Wilhelm Reich's 5 psychological developmental stages. And when our parents don't meet our needs in 1 to 5 of those stages, very often it's like 2.5, we develop what's called core wounds. That's where the phrase came from. And so we've all got them. And all it means is that we were wounded in a particular way because we have these very particular needs at different stages in our life. And so they weren't met. Therefore, it causes particular types of pain, and it causes particular types of behavioral patterns, and it needs particular types of healing. And so when you learn about how you fit into these categories, you also learn when you recognize like, oh, when we talk about it and you're listening and you go, oh, that one feels like a punch in the gut. That one's probably the biggest one for you. And it's great because now there's these steps for healing that are clearly laid out for you. So last week when we were talking, you...
No.
You don't want to say it? Okay.
We're not going to go there quite yet. We can tease about that next time. So let's just say
I'm
that
definitely not wanting to tease you. I just
not tease, but like, let's just say that Erin has an ability to just based on me saying something that just kind of, I just drop out unconsciously to hone in exactly on one of those core wounds just by me saying something offhand in a conversation and checking in. So if you want to learn more about that, come back and join us next time we have a conversation. And again, look for the books that we've talked about today, the steps that we've talked about today, some of the attachment style stuff we've talked about today. Look for Erin's websites down below in the show notes. And Erin, just say your primary website again so it's in the recording for people to go check it out.
Sure. So my primary website is appreciatingmen.com. And if you want more nervous system regulation stuff, then that would be calmandengaged.com.
calmandengaged.com and appreciatingmen.com. Erin Brandt, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And
Thanks,
we
Boysen.
definitely will do a part 2 on this. I enjoy speaking with you a lot.
Well, I enjoy speaking with you too. And I really appreciate how much it seems like you value what I bring, because I feel pretty compelled to bring it. And so it feels a lot better to bring it to people who care and who it resonates with. So
in the right place, doing the right things with the right folks. It's a pretty easy recipe for happy.
Nice.
I will speak to you soon. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
One of the things that Erin and I forgot to mention at the very end of the podcast when we were learning more about how to get in touch with Erin. So we definitely mentioned appreciatingmen.com. But Erin also wanted me to refer you over to that site so that you can learn more about what she's really doing today working with men. So I said at the beginning of the episode, she traveled all across the country, meeting with men's groups, working with men in groups. She's taken that kind of experience of very small group coaching into her work that she's doing on a weekly basis now. Guys can get together, very small groups, have intensive time to ask the questions that they might be most scared of asking about themselves, about women, about relationships, about the people that are in their world, and start to build a library out of this work. So Erin continues to do coaching. She's changed the way she's coaching. I want you to learn more about it. Go check it out.
This has been the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. I have been your host, Brandon Clift, and I personally want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. And of course, I want to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you make it a heck of a lot easier for us to let men out there in the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. Special thanks, of course, goes to my incredible team, Marketing and Communications Director Boysen Hodson, producer and editor of this episode, Michael Russo, who makes me sound so much more intelligent than I actually am, so of course, special kudos goes there. And if you've been enjoying the music throughout this episode and all of our episodes, check out Jim, Donovan, and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. Now, the fee for this episode is simple. If you found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, remember that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, so long as we rip the pen out of fate's hand and become the author of our own story. So my friend, pick up the pen and we'll see you next week. Lots of love.